Hello, my name is Sally Lyons. I'm the Chief Executive of the Road Safety Trust, grant giving charity, and I'd like to thank Road Safety GB for allowing me the opportunity to talk about one of our projects. So a little bit of background for anyone who doesn't know the Trust already. The Road Safety Trust exists to make UK roads safer through our grant giving of road safety initiatives around the country. We've been grant giving for about 5 years, and we've awarded £3.9 million of funding to 56 different projects across 42 organisations. 25 of those projects have completed, 1 terminated before completion, and 30 are ongoing and new going forward. The beneficiaries of our charitable work are all types of road users. And this project featured here today is about improving road safety for cyclists. Just to give a little bit of context, in Great Britain in 2019, the road casualty statistics indicate that 4,433 pedal cyclists suffered a serious injury or fatality, more than 12 a day. 100 of those were deaths. The hospital data for England, Scotland and Wales reveal that 18,546 pedal cyclists were admitted to hospital as the result of transport-related accidents between April 18 and March 19. Of these, based on previous matching of hospital and police reported data, 78% are likely to have sustained a head injury. Reference Talbot et al. 2014. Thus, in Great Britain, it's likely that 40 cyclists a day are admitted for head injuries. In total, 70% of the head injuries occur in a single bike crash. Even though less than a fifth of the head injuries occur when a passenger car was involved, these crashes often result in the most severe injuries. The risk of sustaining a head injury is mitigated if cyclists use helmets. This has been demonstrated by epidemiological studies showing that bicycle helmets can reduce head injury by up to 69%. Ref. Olivia and Creighton, 2016. So the problem here is that there are shortfalls in the minimum EU standard cycle helmet safety tests. It's important that when customers purchase safety equipment, they spend their money wisely. Consumer testing can greatly assist in this by informing prospective purchasers about the objective performance of alternative products. An example of such testing is the car safety rating scheme of Euro NCAP, which has helped to inform consumer choice and to motivate vehicle manufacturers to improve the safety of their vehicles. The UK Department for Transport sponsors a rating scheme for motorcycle helmets called SHARP, but no comparable information is easily available to UK purchasers of cycle helmets. All cycle helmets sold in the EU and the UK have to meet a minimum safety standard, EN 1078, in order to obtain the CE mark. But the impact testing required by that standard is currently considered to be rather lax. Thus, helmets that meet the minimum requirements may not perform adequately in real-life crashes. And prospective purchasers of cycle helmets therefore cannot be sure that a given helmet will provide a high degree of protection. The EU test protocol focuses on helmet retention and on direct impact to the surface of the helmet with a target of reducing the risk of skull fracture. It does not currently examine oblique impacts, which result in the rotation of the head and consequent concussion injury to the brain. Over the last few years, a number of new test protocols have been developed that examine helmet performance, both in direct impact and in oblique impact. Examples are the tests carried out in the USA by Virginia Tech on behalf of the Insurance Institute for Highway Safety, and the test carried out in Sweden by Folksam Insurance Group for 2020. At the same time, there have been developments in helmet design targeted at providing protection to wearers from the rotational energy that results from oblique impact. The best known of these is the Multi-Directional Impact Protection System, MIPS, technology developed in Sweden, but there are also a number of other systems with similar objectives. Helmets with MIPS have a liner that aims to reduce rotational motion of the head by allowing slippage of the helmet interior with relation to the surface of the head, thus reducing the risk of severe brain injury. So consumers are unaware of the shortfall in the current minimum EU safety standard carried out on all helmets, cycle helmets sold in the EU. And they're also unaware that there is potential to have extended cycle helmet safety tests carried out by certain test labs around Europe. The complication, of course, is that there is currently no harmonised rating scheme for EU consumers. So even though the different test houses and test labs are carrying out tests that do include oblique impact, there isn't as yet an agreed testing protocol with an agreed outcome. So we have potential confusion as well for consumers if they look further. So what's the Trust doing about this? The first thing to say is that we're not getting involved in or making judgments about the debate about whether cycle helmets should be a legal requirement. What we are doing is we're working in partnership with Folksam in Sweden and have been doing for a couple of years now. We provided funding so that they could carry out extended safety tests for helmets, cycle helmets that are available, readily available in the UK. We've co-funded the testing of 37 helmets between 2020 and 21 that are available in the UK. And before we got involved with Folksam, they had already tested 10 helmets in 2019 that are sold in the UK as well. So there is currently a portfolio of 47 helmets in total for adult cyclists. We're also trying to raise awareness about cycle helmet safety testing in the UK through the usage and application of the Folksam grading system, which is fairly easy to understand and simple, but as I said earlier, it's not necessarily the same as some of the other testing houses around Europe, so we need to get working on that too. The last point, therefore, is that we're trying to progress the conversation between the different test labs to arrive at a harmonised rating system so that EU consumers can get the information they need at the point of sale when they make that purchasing decision. So a little bit about Folksam's grading system. They have 4 grades, and it's important to note that all these are in relation to the average performance of the helmets for a particular year. So for example, a helmet that comes out as a recommended helmet in 2021 may not be directly comparable to the performance of a helmet that was tested in 2019. The reason being is it was the average of those test rounds that formed the basis for the gradings. So grade 4, what they call recommended helmets, are where helmets have performed more than 15% better than the average in the test round for that year, for both the direct and the oblique impact tests. And let's remember that it's the oblique impact testing that is currently not included as part of the minimum safety standard, the EN 1078. The grade 3 is where a helmet has performed more than 15% better than the average in the test round, but only either for direct impact tests or oblique impact tests, but not both. Grade 2 is the average range, and that goes between the plus 15 and the minus 15%. And grade 1 is where a helmet has performed more than 15% worse than the average in the test round. So it's a simple grading system. It's one that we're trying to raise awareness of. It doesn't necessarily mean this is what it will end up being if we talk about harmonisation of grading system, but we're on the way to discussing that with the different test labs. So far we have 3 years of adult cycle helmet test results as a result of the Road Safety Trust's involvement with Folksam to share with you. They did carry out tests on 10 helmets available in the UK in 2019, as I said, before we got involved. 2 of the recommended helmets, one is £99, one was £189. And you'll see that all the way through. There's a vast disparity in the pricing of these helmets, which is why it's quite interesting to see that this year we have 2 recommended helmets in 2021 that cost £45 and £80 respectively. It is possible to buy a good performing helmet in terms of safety without paying the earth for it. So here you can see the 47 helmets and how they've fallen within the grading system. Test results for the 2021 were launched last week on World Bicycle Day, which was on the 3rd of June. So on the adult cycle helmets, we've got 2 helmets that have come out recommended, Scott Arcs Plus and Specialized Align 2. We've got, and the others, there's some in grade 3. There's unfortunately more in grade 2, which is the average range. And then there's a couple that have fallen into the grade 1. As they say with the EN 1078 working group, there is no such thing as a bad helmet. Wearing a helmet is a plus, and all helmets have to pass that minimum safety standard. But here we're talking about extended safety performance testing carried out. So the recommended ones are really a very good outcome for purchases in the UK in terms of price and performance. For the first time in 2021, Folksam introduced some tests on child cycle helmets. And given that 10% of cyclists killed or injured are children, the Road Safety Trust was very keen that this development took place and that we can start testing extended tests on child helmets. So 9 helmets were tested altogether, one of which is only available in Sweden. So I'll be talking about the 8 remaining. And of the 2 that were recommended, one of them was that Swedish only helmet. So the one that is available to consumers in the UK is the Laser Gecko helmet. And interestingly, in Sweden, they have a recommendation that all children up to the age of 7 should have a helmet with a green buckle. This is a self-release system that's tested and approved according to CE standard EN 1080. I don't think we have this in the UK, but it does actually result in the 2 recommended helmets both happen to have green buckles. The others didn't. And all the helmets that were tested were equipped with MIPS, or the alternative technology to protect against rotational forces. And for parents with children on cycles, if they want to get the best performing helmet here, the Laser Gecko, it's affordable at £50. It is important to say it's a small sample, and it's only been possible with the child helmets to test a very small sample, and indeed the adult helmets so far, even though there's many more than 47 adult cycle helmets on the market, we haven't been able to test them all. So no conclusions should be drawn about the performance of helmets that have not been included in any of these rounds of tests. So we're sharing the findings from last week onwards, and 2021 test round results, as I say, released 3rd of June. All the information is on our website. We've got a cycle helmet project page, and the links to these are available in the PowerPoint presentation, which I'll provide to RSGB as well, if you don't get a chance to note it down. We'd like your help. If you're interested in this topic and in this area of work, then we could really do with some help to disseminate both the awareness, to raise awareness about the extended safety testing that isn't currently included in the minimum safety standard EN 1078, and also about the gradings, because they're relatively easy to understand. So please do feel free to share resources off that webpage with colleagues, networks, and interested parties. And this work will continue. We've had it on good advice through the Cycle Helmet Roundtable that we held in March, that although they're considering including oblique impact testing in the EN 1078 safety standard, that won't happen until the earliest, until 2024. So these 3 years at least are going to be important to keep the momentum going and keep the awareness raised, especially with the increase that we have in active travel and cycling generally over the last 15 months especially. Touching on the other piece of work that we hope to continue is working towards a harmonised rating scheme for consumers. The ambition, the hope, is that we might end up with a sharp equivalent for cycle helmets across Europe. That would be really great. We did hold a round table, and all of those presentations and discussions are available for anyone to view on our dedicated webpage. And we're currently considering, as a trust, a grant-giving trust, we are currently considering how we can push this work forward. So if you'd like to keep informed of progress on the cycle helmet safety testing and harmonised rating scheme, please subscribe to our 4-monthly e-bulletin online through our news tab. You could follow us on Twitter. All of our projects are on the website, and there is that dedicated page on cycle helmets. You could email us with a specific inquiry if you would like to. Most of all, please stay safe out there. Thank you very much.